Oklahoma and Tennessee's.
It sort of goes back to it and Nick Jackson's right. When you start talking about special, that's a really short list. It's not a dig at him, though. Bino Fulmer, special? Won a national championship here, Bino.
I think that we had basically something that very few universities ever see. We kind of had back-to-back generational football coaches with Majors and Fulmer. I guess Nebraska did it with Devaney and Osborne. You just don't see that very much. And I told you at the time that Fulmer went out, and I wasn't a Fulmer fan at the time that he went out, but I thought we had been so fortunate to have two football coaches for like a 36-year period that we were getting ready to put a revolving door over there, and unfortunately that's what's happened.
Yeah, Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
It's really, really difficult to do that. Now, Rodney Kraft is in here trying to punch at people saying Tennessee settled for Josh Heupel. No, they didn't. They got lucky with Josh Heupel. That's what happened. The AD tried to hire James Franklin, for crying out loud. Bino, you imagine, and was going to pay him like $90 million. Can you imagine, Bino, watching James Franklin's offense?
Hey, listen, regardless of what happens for the remainder of Josh Heupel's tenure here, I will always be grateful for what he did, what he pulled us out of. Which was, without question, the worst situation in Tennessee football history.
Commissioner Bockwinkel said, Tony, really in the special category, we ought to do this with John Adams tomorrow. We ought to have a special list and a special list. I think Adams would really excel at that. Don't you, Bino?
Yeah,
and do you think
that's right? That's in his wheelhouse. That's his hot zone in that.
And Will Adams, Bino, will he put Fulmer in the special category like you just did?
Yes, maybe with a different emphasis.
So we're going to do an overtime today, a high noon overdrive overtime coming your way. Say it, know it, and write it down. Now, tomorrow on the blog over at tclub.team, you've been waiting for it all summer. It's our first Hoops check-in, and we're going to do these periodically throughout the summer, but it's going to be our first real look, and it's a real look at where the roster is, where it's going, what these guys look like, the good, the bad, and there's a little bit of ugly, but not a lot. This team's really going to run. I think you're really going to find it interesting. I'm running it by some of my hoop sources. I'm getting good feedback on it right now, and also some added few little nuggets to add because I respect their opinions. In the meantime, that's over at tclub.team where we got you today, where we're going to continue our conversation. In the meantime, the playbook with William Patterson's on the way next. If William Patterson's a stock, I'm buying. And here's William Patterson now.
And here we go. Live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios, it's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio with Brett Hollander, Garrett Armbrust, and Caleb DeBusk joining you. I'm William Pattison. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Monday from Knoxville, Tennessee. And we've got plenty to cover over the next 2 hours. Go ahead and slide in here, Garrett. You're good. We got a new studio set up today. Well, I guess not a new studio entirely, but some new changes, some new updates, and happy to get back rolling as
you guys get comfy over there.
Yeah.
A little close.
A little closer than usual, but
Yeah.
again, it's more for the aesthetic of looking good on camera, which I think we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, couple of months as we get ready for the 2026 season. And I tweeted it out earlier this morning. It's the offseason's officially over with the SEC Media Days kicking off today in Tampa, Florida. Josh Heupel and company set to go on stage at 2:55 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be going off the air, but plenty to cover in anticipation for that. And also David Gabriel Georges, where will he land on Wednesday? Well, On3's Pete Nakos logged an expert prediction earlier today for the Volunteers. So we'll talk about that. To also take a look at the World Cup that went down on Sunday. Spain defeats Argentina. We'll give our takeaways from that. And also Greg Sankey, he got up on the podium earlier this morning and provided some very interesting quotes about the future of the conference. We'll discuss that as well. But overall, plenty to cover on a Monday. So happy you're here. If you're on that YouTube live stream, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss any Fan Run content. And before we get into the rest of the show, let's welcome in the rest of the crew, beginning with Garrett. Garrett, how are you on this Monday?
Yeah, doing good. Ran into some rough traffic on the way here, but we're here nonetheless. Not a whole lot went down this weekend. Watched the British Open, FIFA World Cup, obviously championship game yesterday, but outside of that, just excited that media days are here, kind of the unofficial start to the college football season, at least if you're from the South, where we're all from. So excited to get into that, and then some DGG talk. Obviously, saw the crystal ball that Nakos gave, so excited to get into that. And obviously just inching closer to football season, which is all I can ask for.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm counting down the days, and it feels like every weekend now is just a little bit closer. I watched some old games this weekend. I watched Ole Miss and LSU from week 4 of last year. Watched Texas A&M at LSU. Just I don't know, just trying to quench my thirst for college football once again. Brett, how are you?
Doing well. Yeah, it was a good weekend. Not a lot going on for me either. Pretty similar to what Garrett did. But I tell you what fired me up more than anything was I sent it to you was this preview for Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
That's what I'm counting down to as well. That was you love a good teaser, but I almost don't even want to see teasers. I was just ready for the movie to get here. It was unbelievable though. It fired me up, man. I can't tell you how much it does.
It did for me as well. I'm excited. I think the tickets go on sale today as well.
Really?
Or went on sale this morning for them.
Oh.
So
I don't know. Well, I didn't see that part.
Well, I think you'll have some time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to see it. It may not be the first night, but definitely seeing it.
Yeah. And Caleb, to you, welcome back. Happy to have you back in the booth.
Yeah, feeling good. We spent sister got married last weekend, and then we spent a few days up in Pennsylvania, so that was fun. Got to watch a couple good UFC fights over the weekend, watch a little bit of the Open, and then the World Cup final yesterday. So yeah, pretty good weekend altogether, and then excited for this media days to start. I'm glad that we're going on Monday this year. We don't have to wait until later in the week.
Yeah, that is true. Tennessee on the podium today to get things kicked off in Tampa, Florida. I don't like necessarily that it's in Tampa.
Yeah, I was watching earlier. Drinkwitz wasn't a fan either.
Yeah, well, Drinkwitz is a very interesting fella.
He's not a fan of much.
He said that the atmosphere is dead.
Yeah,
I noticed they quickly changed it. They're moving back to Nashville.
Well, they're
taking
it back to Nashville
this
next
is stupid.
year.
What are we doing?
Well, it's not really centralized.
Not
like
at
Nashville,
all.
you're pretty centralized at most schools, at least outside of like the Oklahomas and the Texas A&Ms in Texas. But like Florida, I mean, you're not.
Well, they tried it in Dallas, right? A couple of years ago. Wasn't that a couple? Was that?
Did they do it in Dallas the year that Texas and Oklahoma joined? They might have.
That may be the reason.
I thought
why
that was where they were going to start going every year.
Yeah.
Because they talked about they were going to move the SEC baseball tournament from Hoover out to Oklahoma City. It's like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
they should keep it in areas that, all the member schools can easily get to.
100%.
Not a place where 2 member schools can get there and the
fans,
rest of the people have to fly.
Like, fans like to go to this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's as strong down in South Florida.
Well, look, I had an offer to go, but I was like, man, I'm not paying for flights and 4 nights of hotels to go down to town. I mean, that's too far away. Nashville has been a different story.
100%. Yeah.
I
You
just
probably
thought
know guys that live over there.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of funny how he talked about how much stuff they do in Tampa and how great Tampa was, and he was like, "But next year we're going to be in Nashville."
Yeah. Thanks for having us, Tampa. We won't be back, but anyway, let's get into it as SEC Media Days officially kicks off today. Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel, running back Deshaun Bishop, and linebackers Arian Carter and Jeremiah Thielander will represent the Volunteers at the 2026 SEC Football Media Days on Monday in Tampa. And the annual summer kickoff event will be held at the JW Marriott in Tampa Marriott and be televised by SEC Network all day with coverage beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And they have been up and at 'em this morning. Just watched John Mateer up on the SEC Now stage. And Mateer's another guy I'm looking forward to watching this season. But we're also having a keen eye on these Tennessee players that will be answering questions from the media. Josh Heupel expected to go on the main stage at 2:55 p.m. Eastern time, and he'll be joined on the Paul Feinbaum show at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time. So a couple of opportunities to listen to Coach Hype. But I will say, in terms of what I expect, well, not much. Josh Heupel, as we know, not one that gives a whole lot of insight on what's going on inside the locker room. And if you've watched any of his press conferences over the years, there's not a whole lot of detail, a lot of generalities, a lot of kind of quick catchphrases that, we've got to control the controllables and we've got to be relentless in our effort. I cannot wait for when he is asked about the quarterback situation, which he is sure to be asked about. And he says that both guys are competing at a high level, and we will continue to evaluate that throughout the offseason. So I can really almost tell you what he's going to say. But, there could be a couple of moments where he provides some insight. I mean, hell, Eli Drinkwitz went up earlier and gave the update on Ahmad Hardy, who was shot in the leg in May and is now going to be medically cleared for the 2026 season. So there have been some positive developments. We'll also talk about what Greg Sankey said in hour 2, a couple of eye-popping moments there. But in terms of Josh Heupel, I don't expect a whole lot. I expect him to be PR trained and buttoned up and not giving a whole lot of intel on what this season looks like. But Garrett, to you, what do you expect from Heupel when he gets up on the podium?
Same thing you said. As much as I like Heupel, he probably has the least amount of personality of any coach in the SEC, at least when talking to the media. A lot of, they're competing at a high level. We're excited for the opportunity this season, things of that nature. A lot of those things will be said. That's just how Heupel rolls. That's just, he doesn't like to play his hand too much when he's talking to the media. He doesn't like to give too much information. And that's just always how it is, no matter if it's media days, no matter if it's, before or after a game, going to the locker room at halftime. That's just how he does it. So I don't think you're going to get too much. You're definitely not going to get anything out of the quarterback competition. I'm sure, as you said, he's just going to say that they're both playing well and that they're even right now. And I don't know. Some of the questions that you see at media day from some of these media people are pretty dumb too. So I'm sure he'll not be thrilled with some of the questions he gets. So, I don't mean to go into an tangent about it, but as a person that's a journalism student, when I look at some of these people's questions, like they just don't read the room at all, or they just ask a question that doesn't make sense. And I don't know. That just kind of aggravates me when I see that sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of dumb questions will be asked throughout the week. But guys, to you, Brett, what do you expect from Coach Heupel?
What you guys just said. A lot of pretty boring coach speak. Just it's probably why he's going first. With no personality, just get him done and over with for the week. That sort of thing. So not expecting a whole lot. I'm sure he'll get questions on the new coordinator, maybe the new strength and conditioning and coach and stuff like that. What his expectations are this year with a young quarterback and things like that. So, hopefully there's some hard-hitting questions, that, was last year up to your standards, different things like that. I don't know if he'll face any of the Aguilar questions or not or anything like that, but he'll find a way to kind of push those to the side and all that. So, and he might just get up there and go on a tangent and not give the room enough time to send any questions in his way and things like that. Kind of have your opening remarks answer a lot of the questions he can expect as well. So, but yeah, for the most part, he's just going to be boring, blah, and yeah, that's kind of what you come to expect from Heupel right now.
Caleb, what about you?
Yeah, I mean the exact same thing. We've watched Hype long enough to where we know that he's not going to give anything away. If he might give you a couple tidbits about maybe some injury updates or something. But I want to see what with Aaron Carter. Like I want to see if anybody asks about his availability or anything like that, because that's kind of really the only thing I'm worried about on the defensive side of the ball. Because you're not going to get anything about quarterback. He's not going to give you any information on who's going to play quarterback. It's like y'all said, they're both competing. It's tight. It's going to be the first week or the week before the game that we're going to hear anything. We're not going to hear a thing about that until game week. So it's going to be a lot of his coach speak. If you look up coach speak on the internet, picture of Josh Heupel will pop up. Yeah, I mean, it's don't go out and make the same mistake twice. So you're probably going to hear him say that about 10 times. So I don't expect much from Hype. I'm more so looking at maybe the players to share any information at all. I want to see Deshaun Bishop up there. I like Deshaun Bishop a lot, so I'll probably be watching his when he gets up there. But other than that, I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, Deshaun Bishop, a Tennessee kid, a Knoxville native, was a standout at Carnes. Really excited for him this upcoming season. And before we get into some of the players getting up and talking with the media, Arian Carter, Deshaun Bishop, and Jeremiah T-Laner, I do want to kind of touch on where Josh Heupel stands heading into his sixth season, because Heupel's making his sixth appearance at SEC Media Days, representing the third most by a Tennessee coach behind only Philip Fulmer's 15 and Johnny Major's 8. Heupel enters his sixth season with the Vols. His 45 wins are the third most through the first 5 full seasons by a UT coach, trailing only Fulmer with 50 from 1993 to 1997, and Bill Battle with 46 from 1970 to 1974. And, there are some on this panel that believe Josh Heupel's on a little bit of a hotter seat than others. But where I believe he stands right now is, let's see what this group can do and what can you get out of a young quarterback this year. I think that's the big kind of talking point for him and what I'm expecting and where he stands, because you take back, a couple of years ago, Nico Iamaleava comes in as a redshirt freshman. You're able to get your way to the college football playoff with Nico at the helm. A lot of that was based on your running game and the defense, but you kind of overexceeded expectations pretty quickly for a young quarterback making his first full season as a starter. 2025, obviously Nico leaves and Joey Aguilar comes in. You had a great offense. It was back in full strength, unlike what we saw in 2024. But this year, it was the defense that was the issue throughout the season. And now you've made a ton of changes. New defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, new strength and conditioning coach in Derek Owings. But the offense has some question marks. You like the offensive line. You like the running back. You like the wide receivers. But quarterback, the most important position on the field, a big question. And the defense, as much as we think it got better through the transfer portal and with the addition of Coach Knowles, there are a lot of questions there. So I think this year is kind of just see what you can do and let's see how this thing plays out, kind of take it week to week. And I know that might be a Josh Heupel-esque phrase and taking things week to week, but overall in the SEC, it's a very difficult schedule. Now you're going to 9 games and you've got a young quarterback doing it as well. So I'm not in a hot seat area for Heupel at this point. I think 2027 is a make or break year. But in terms of this season, I think he's standing on fine feet. And we talked last week about about CBS Sports hot seat rankings, and Heupel was in that kind of 2 to 3 area in which, he's not on the hot seat, but probably needs to get things rolling a little bit. And that's kind of the same thing I would mirror at this point in time. Garrett, to you, where do you feel like Josh Heupel stands heading into this 6th season as Tennessee's head coach?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think, we've talked about it. Unless this team goes 3-9, 4-8, something like that, I don't foresee them making any changes, especially with with 2027, you're expected to have a roster that's going to be, good enough to make a playoff, go 10-2 again. I think and you can make the argument of we shouldn't be in this position of having a freshman quarterback starting, whether it's going to be a true freshman and Faison, or it's going to be McIntyre, a guy who also really hasn't played in his career. Obviously, is come in some garbage time in some smaller games, but they have the same amount of SEC experience against big time opponents. So you can make the argument that you should have gone to the transfer portal. At the end of the day, with the quarterback that you have right now, and the offensive line that you have and the skill position in the defense, I think you're in a position where you're going to win the games that you're supposed to win, and you're probably going to lose the games that you're supposed to lose. And that's going to put you at 8-4. You're probably going to lose to the Texases and the A&Ms and the LSUs. Maybe you can steal a game against Alabama or LSU, and you're going to beat the Vanderbilts and the Kentuckys and hopefully the Georgia Tech and Kennesaw State and Furman. And you're going to go 8-4, and you're probably going to play in a bowl game in Orlando, and hopefully you're going to finish 9-4 and finish around the same record as last season. So while obviously quarterback is, a position of interest on this team, starting a young guy, I think you have enough pieces around you that you can still win games against, the mid-tier teams in the SEC, and you just hope that you don't have any slip-ups against South Carolina, Auburn, teams like that, especially an Auburn team that you get at home. And stuff like that. Arkansas obviously should be a game that you should be able to take care of on the road. But, I mean, you saw this in 2024. You beat Alabama at home, and then you lose to Arkansas on the road. So I think 8-4, those probably what you're looking at. And there's no way if you go 8-4, you're on the hot seat after everything that he's done for the program, considering where you were when you hired him in 2021.
Brett, to you, I know you have a differing opinion of
you guys are too nice.
How hot that seat is. Where do you stand with Josh Heupel entering year 6?
You said it right there. He's entering year 6. This should be unacceptable that we shouldn't be talking about a guy on the hot seat. Honestly, I hate doing it. But when you're talking hot year 6 and you have the budget and you're a program like Tennessee, you shouldn't be having conversations like this. You kind of started to slide back down since your playoff appearance and things like that. I don't like speaking in the future, and it's so easy to have a quick turnaround. And I think your 2 weakest positions on the field need to be your strongest positions on the field, honestly. I think you're weak at quarterback, and I think you're going to be weak on the D-line. You can't win football games that way. And there's almost zero excuse to be in this position, and things like that. And we're hoping we beat some of these weaker teams, much less being competitive with the bad teams. There's a lot unknown with this conference. We're hoping the defense is better, but I think the schedule's a lot stronger than it was last year, so we don't know that answer and things like that. So I think there's way too many questions. I think the offense is going to be around him is great, but I think there's too many questions everywhere else with the schedule we're about to play to have any confidence Heupel getting it done this year.
Caleb, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with y'all. I probably am a little bit higher on us this year than even y'all are, because I mean, y'all saw the quote Deshaun Bishop had where he said last year we were 2 plays away from a playoff, which I think it's a little more extensive than that. But I mean, if you look back, I mean, you make a field goal against Georgia, you don't give up a pick 6 right before halftime against Bama, or you don't give up a scoop and score against Oklahoma. Like I think if you don't give up that scoop and score against Oklahoma, we win that game. And I think if we beat Oklahoma, we don't lose to Vanderbilt. So I think there's every season comes down to just a couple things. If a couple things go your way, you end up having a 10-2 season. If a couple things don't go your way, you're 7-5, 8-4. I think the margins are that thin with football, and I think the schedule's a little bit tougher this year, but I think we have an easier schedule than some of these other SEC teams. I think there's a lot of winnable games on our schedule, and a lot of our tough games are at home, and I think we have the best supporting cast we can around our quarterback. I think us having this is probably the best year for us to have a question at quarterback with the offensive line we have and the receivers we have and the running back we have. And I don't think he's in. I think 7-5 is kind of the cutoff for me. I think if we go 7-5 or worse, I think maybe you can start questioning things. But I think if 8-4 or above is very attainable, and my expectation is probably 9-3. 9-3 is where I see this team falling, because it's like with Alabama, you don't know what their quarterback situation is. You don't know how good Keelan Russell's going to be, and then again LSU. That's a great team on paper, but we don't play on paper. You don't know how that team's going to mesh. Yeah. We've seen super teams like that a lot of the time just crash and burn. I mean, there's several. Just because you have really, really good talent at every position on the field doesn't mean you're going to have a good football team. So there's a lot of questions going into it, but I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited and a lot of reasons to be positive about this upcoming season. So I'm excited to see what unfolds, and I got relatively high expectations, so we'll see what happens.
Let's take a look at the YouTube chat real quick. Matt in chat says, Nega Brett at it again, talking like he's already lost 6 games this year. Tony Mosier says, Heupel will not lead us to any championship. He is a good coach, not great. I expect a 7 to 8 win season, not good enough in year 6. So you might have a fan and then a rival out of those two comments there, Brett. But again, I think at the end of the day, what happens in that Georgia Tech game is going to be pretty indicative of what the rest of the season looks like. I think that's one of the most important games on Tennessee's schedule. And I kind of felt the same way heading into the 2024 year when you matched up against NC State in the Duke's Mayo Kickoff Classic. And at the time, NC State was supposed to be a good team. And obviously they did not end up being that type of group, but an injury to, who was it? What was it? Grayson McCall. Yeah, Grayson McCall. An injury to Grayson McCall kind of derailed that, but Tennessee didn't have any issues with the Wolfpack in that one. And obviously you were able to progress the rest of the way and get a big win against Alabama at home. You had the ugly loss to Arkansas and the loss to Georgia, but it was enough still to get you into the college football playoff. This year, you've got about 4 games that set up to be really difficult on the level of Alabama and Georgia from 2024. But again, if you win that Georgia Tech game, then I think it's fair game the rest of the way. You can really line up and see where Tennessee could maybe get to 9 wins. But if you drop that Georgia Tech game, I think it's going to be hard to bounce back and play Texas again in 2 weeks, and then you could be sitting at 2-2. And, you know, we know that 2 wins is kind of the cutoff of the college football playoff.
In a bad way.
Yeah, it very well could be. But one guy that's going to try and prevent that and is most likely going to have a big season for the Volunteers is Deshaun Bishop, a 2025 second-team All-SEC back, and he's coming off Tennessee's 3rd straight individual 1,000-yard rushing season. He is the first returning 1,000-yard rusher for the Vols since Jalen Hurd did so in 2016, and Bishop logged 1,531 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns so far through his career. I think I was doing the math earlier today, and John had mentioned something in the office earlier that Bishop's like 1,500 yards away from the all-time record in Tennessee history. I don't know if he'll get to that number this year, but if he does end up staying another season, Deshaun Bishop will likely be the all-time leading rusher in Tennessee football history, and pretty cool for a Carnes native, a guy that was overlooked out of high school, ended up walking on with Tennessee and has now leveled his way up to becoming one of the best backs in the SEC. And the kind of season I expect from him is kind of echoing what he told me specifically. He wants to be the best back in the SEC and the best back in college football. He's got high expectations. And I think that's really good because, yes, you might have some questions at quarterback with Faison Brandon and George McIntyre, whoever wins that job. But you've got a really good offensive line. And if you've got a good O-line, that means you can run the ball, especially with a guy like Deshaun Bishop, who's coming off such a great season last year. So my expectations are he's going to have another 1,000-yard season, and we'll be having a conversation at some point in the year of, is he the best running back in the conference and maybe even the best running back in college football? I expect big things out of Deshaun Bishop, and I think he's going to be an integral part of Tennessee's offense, especially early on, when you've got a young quarterback kind of going through the motions of what that process is like. So I expect big things from Deshaun Bishop. Garrett, to you, what do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, 1,500 yards to break the record in one season is obviously a lot. I mean, even if you play the bowl game and play 13 games, it's possible you'd need, I guess, 115-ish yards a game if you played all 13. But, it is possible. Last season you kind of rotated Starr, Peyton Lewis, and him. I think this season it's going to be more just him and Javin Gordon. And as much as I like Javin Gordon, obviously Deshaun Bishop's going to be getting, 2/3 of the running back snaps, if not, 3/4. So, you look at the top guys in the country that had the rushing leads last season. Cam Cook at Jacksonville State, he had almost 300 carries. Kejuan Lacey had a ton of carries. But then like Ahmad Hardy, a guy, he was closer to Deshaun's yards per carry. Kejuan actually had a little less yards per carry than Deshaun and Ahmad did. And Ahmad was in a running back with Jamal Roberts, who was a really good running back too. So it's possible you can do it. 1,500 yards in one season would be remarkable, but I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest with you. I think he could rush for 5.5, 6 yards per carry. It's just all about if he can get enough carries and stay healthy. But I mean, if you have one game and pop off for 225 yards in one game or something, then you really have a chance. But I think he's going to be really good this season. I think him, Baugh, Hardy, all those guys are the top running backs in the SEC. I think he easily is a top 3 running back in the SEC and could legitimately submit himself as a top 2 with him and Lacey. And we'll see what Hardy's availability is this season. But I think him, Hardy, Lacey, and Baugh are definitely the top 4.
Yeah, good group of running backs in the SEC for sure. But you mentioned the yards per carry. Deshaun Bishop last year, 5.9 yards an attempt. That's pretty impressive stuff, and speaks volumes to the type of progress that he has made since arriving on Rocky Top in order to get to that point. But again, a lot of other good backs in the country. Brett, to you, what do you expect, though, from a Deshaun Bishop, an in-state kid, hometown guy that has the opportunity to climb up the Tennessee leaderboards next season and maybe provide a source of consistency within this offense that has a lot of questions?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He had the privilege of having really good weapons around him and a guy that could attack the field. And with Aguilar, is Faison going to be good enough to have empty, not as crowded boxes? Because I think that's going to be the focal point of a lot of defenses is Deshaun Bishop. Last year he was kind of flying under the radar and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think he's definitely going to get. I think he had 182 carries. I mean, if you're going to have a successful season, he's got to probably bump that up. They're 30 or 40 at least, especially for the successful season that y'all think we're going to have and stuff like that. So he's easily going to be one of the top ones in the conference. I can't really put a number on it. I think it'll definitely be over 1,000, but I think it's just a lot's going to depend on some of these lesser teams, how many yards he's going to pile up there, because we speak on these offenses we're going to face, but these defenses we're going to face are going to be legit as well. So it's going to be tough sledding for him in some of the big games, but nobody's going to work harder than this guy. I mean, we saw him at that camp. I mean, he was showing me pictures of him. This guy's jacked. So
yeah,
he's going to want to tote the rock. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. And the offensive line's another year older, more experienced. So, I mean, they're going to create some holes. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And our team's only going to go as far as this guy's going to carry us.
Couple of YouTube chats real quick. Matt in chat says, I think there's recency bias on how folks view Georgia Tech. They're replacing majority of starters, will be an entirely different team than last year. But a couple of names to know for that group. Justice Haynes comes over at running back from Michigan and began his career at Alabama. He's a really good running back. And then Alberto Mendoza, you might remember that name, because he was at Indiana last year, the brother of Fernando Mendoza. He's going to get the start for the Yellow Jackets. But a new coaching staff offensively, a lot of changes for Brent Key and company. But again, the way I look at it, it's a road game at night early in the season. And road games, night, don't usually align with Josh Heupel. Now you add in the extra factor of having a young quarterback going through that. I think you have to have some sort of at least awareness around it, even if Georgia Tech does replace a lot. Tony Mosier says maybe we can beat a team that ends the season with a winning record this year. That would be an improvement. Tennessee did not do so last season. Neither did Missouri. Two teams in the SEC that did not beat teams with winning records. We'll continue to talk about the cast that is at SEC Media Days for Tennessee in a little bit. When we come back, though, we're going to switch our focus to the future of Tennessee. David Gabriel Georges set to make his commitment decision on Wednesday, and On Three's Pete Nakos came in with a prediction earlier that Vols fans will be pretty excited about. Stay right here. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
What kind of day is it? It's a White Claw day. Grab a pack, grab your friends. Everything else in life can wait. Your friends shouldn't. Let's go. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavor. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Vol fans, reimagine your home at Broadway Carpets and Flooring for any remodeling or building needs. With a variety of carpets, rugs, hardwood, vinyl, and stone, Broadway has all the flooring and installation options you're looking for. including pet-resistant products like Pet Perfect Carpet from Shaw Floors. Visit their showroom in downtown Knoxville or the location in West Knoxville located on Kingston Pike near Pellissippi Parkway today.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game, Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Smoky Mountain Brewery is the place to be for game day. From the moment you walk in, it's wall-to-wall big screens, making Smoky Mountain Brewery the perfect place to watch the Vols or your favorite team in action. With locations in Turkey Creek, Maryville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, you're never far away from a great time at Smoky Mountain Brewery. Try one of their world-famous microbrews like Black Bear Ale, Mountain Light, or Cherokee Ale. Juicy burgers, wings that bring the heat, and delicious handmade pizzas made with hand-tossed crust from the freshest ingredients and their own special sauce from a secret recipe, topped off with hand-grated cheese and farm-fresh toppings. And don't forget, those famous microbrews are also available in kegs for your next party or in 6-packs and growlers to go. So grab your crew and head to Smoky Mountain Brewery and tell them Fan Run Radio sent you. Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good.
The voluntary reaction.
Can't get enough Tennessee basketball? Join Fan Run Radio as soon as every UT game is over for Big Orange Country's post-game radio free-for-all. The voluntary reaction. We'll be taking your calls on the Vols as soon as every game is over. So tune in and buckle up as we drink from the keg of glory all the way to the Final Four.
The voluntary reaction. Raw, unfiltered, real.
On the playbook, there we go. All right, back here on the playbook. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Monday from K-Town. Plenty to cover as SEC Media Days gets kicked off in Tampa, Florida. We're far away from that, and the SEC won't be doing that decision again. But we're waiting on another decision this week, and that's David Gabriel Georges, the 5-star plus recruit out of the Baylor School in Chattanooga. He's deciding between Tennessee, Ohio State, and Ole Miss on Wednesday. I think CBS Sports is picking up his live video, maybe 24/7. I think
24/7. I think is with CBS.
Yeah,
they're together, so it's probably on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, so 5:30 p.m. Eastern time is the date, or I guess the time, I should say, for Wednesday. But we got a little bit of intel today from Pete Nakos at On 3. And with just 2 days remaining, the recruiting insider and college football insider Pete Nakos released a new prediction for Tennessee football to land the 5-star prospect with a 70% confidence level. And what I think is significant about Nakos putting out a prediction is the fact that he doesn't usually do high school recruits. He doesn't usually predict high school guys and where they're going to land. He's more of the kind of transfer portal and what's going on currently in college football guy. Steve Wilfong and other rival-specific members are usually the ones that do the predictions, but Nakos threw his hat in the ring with a 70% confidence. And as we've continued to talk about over the last month, I think Tennessee is in a really good spot here, even outside of this prediction from Nakos. I think Tennessee's in a really good spot to land David Gabriel Georges on Wednesday. A lot of different factors are going into this, and Tennessee has made him the top priority since this 2027 class was in existence, since people figured out about David Gabriel Georges, because he's an in-state kid, just an hour and 30 minutes away. I know he's from Quebec, Canada, technically, but he's still an in-state kid in terms of you can go down an hour and 30 minutes to Chattanooga and go see him. You shouldn't be able to lose guys like that. And you factor in all the different variables in here. The fact that he wants the number 0 jersey. Well, at Ohio State, they don't allow freshmen to do that because it kind of resembles the O in the Ohio State logo, and it's kind of a traditional thing. They don't allow number 0 to be worn. So that's one thing. The second thing is development. Now, I know Ohio State's done an incredible job developing running backs, but so has Tennessee as of late. Dylan Sampson is now in the NFL. Jalen Wright in the NFL. You've even had guys like Jabari Small, who were lowly rated recruits that have made it to the NFL level as well. Josh Heupel loves to use running backs. I think David Gabriel Georges would be a great fit in this Josh Heupel offense. Mentorship has been another thing. Alvin Kamara, one of the best Tennessee running backs to ever do it, has been working one-on-one with this guy and fixing and critiquing certain parts about his game. That was a strategic move to have Alvin Kamara on campus when David Gabriel Georges visited back in June. And then you also factored in the NIL. Yes, Tennessee's going to pay top dollar for this guy. A lot of schools would. And he's anticipated to be the highest paid NIL recruit at that running back position of all time. But I think it's for good reason. The guy runs for 10 yards a carry. That's a first down. I don't watch much high school football because, well, I'm 23 and probably don't need to be watching high school kids on Friday. I'm more concerned about college football, what Cal and Duke are doing at 10:30. But I tune in to watch this kid because he's that good. And Macaulay's a good school, good program. This kid ran all over him. 6 touchdowns, 300-something yards. That's the type of guy you put up the dollar signs for, and Tennessee is going to do it. So I have felt confident about Tennessee courting DGG for a while now, and I continue to have that same confidence today, and predictions from On3's Pete Nakos help add into that. I think he's going to be a Vol on Wednesday, and Tennessee is going to get one of the biggest recruits in the Josh Heupel era. But Garrett, to you, do you echo those same sentiments? How do you feel about DGG at this time?
Yeah, I mean, this is the best I've felt about it throughout the whole recruitment. Obviously, you still don't know at the end of the day what's going to happen, but Nakos getting involved with it definitely makes me feel decent because, as you said, I don't recall a time Nakos has ever put in a crystal ball for a high school recruit. I mean, you see it all the time out of the transfer portal. It's kind of what his job is. He's one of the transfer portal reporters for On3, but high school, you just don't see it. So obviously he knows something and then thinks that's going to happen. But as you said, for all the reasons, a guy that averages a first down, 10 yards per carry in high school, he would have had a top 5 combine speed in the NFL, top 10 combine speed or something like that in the NFL this year. So, and you see how massive the guy is. I mean, the guy's quads and legs are just absolutely huge. He looks like he's a junior or senior in college, and he's a senior in high school. So this is a guy that would make an immediate impact, week 1 of freshman year next season. I mean, this guy is really good. And I know I've talked about if he doesn't commit here, I still have confidence in Heupel with the running backs that you've put through here with Small and Sampson was a 2 or 3 star out of Louisiana and ends up being incredible in 2024. Deshaun Bishop, a walk-on at Carnes, ends up being incredible at Tennessee. Like I have confidence, but you can't say no to a guy like this. You got to pay for a guy like this. There's a reason why he's this expensive. And for the Ohio State fans that have sat here and said, oh, well, Tennessee's paying for him, they're desperate. Ohio State paid a lot of money for Chris Henry, who's going to be one of their starting wide receivers this year that they think is going to be their next first-round draft pick. So I don't want to hear anything from Ohio State fans saying that we overpaid for DGG if he happens to come here. You paid a lot of money to get Chris Henry Jr. to be on your team this year, wide receiver. So I don't want to hear that. This will be a massive get if we get him, obviously. It will be one of the biggest high school pickups in Tennessee recruiting history in any sport.
Yeah, I fully agree. And again, Ohio State wants to bitch and moan and complain, but aren't they the same ones that offered his roommate and high school friend, friend from growing up that has
smart move, right?
Other offers from Dartmouth, and I mean, I don't even think he has an offer list. Like they had to create a page when he got the Ohio State offer, and that should tell you a lot. So. The fact that Ohio State fans are now trying to spin it to, Tennessee is desperate. I think
we are.
Well,
we are 100% desperate.
But I think they're desperate too if they're going to offer his, friend from growing up.
That's probably a free offer.
Exactly, it's a handout.
So why are we throwing it out there?
Because we don't need to. Because we're going to get them.
I hope.
We don't need to throw in theatrics. We're going to get them.
But we're desperate. we're desperate. We're trying to change the culture. We're trying.
I mean,
to change
every team
things.
would want him.
Yeah,
I think everything.
That's not being desperate. That's just you wanting the top player. Who wouldn't want him?
When there's a
But
recruit of that caliber.
$2 million. Never heard of out of anybody going that high for a player, a high school player. We wouldn't even go to 6. We wouldn't even go to 6.
I mean, this guy could be a Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry type running back.
We think. I mean, we're desperate for him. Let's not kid ourselves.
Any team would be desperate for a recruit this highly rated.
But they aren't. They aren't.
Well, I mean,
Ohio State's in a recruiting battle with us right now and would pay him the same amount of money we would pay him.
Yeah, but Ohio State's going to be more fine than we are without him. If they don't get him, that's why they're not going to $2 million. Hey, if you want to come here and play for $1 million, we'll give you $1 million. But we're not desperate to go to $2 million because we're Ohio State. We're going to compete for championships. They're not sitting at 8 and 5.
We're trying to compete for championships by getting him.
We're just hoping to go 6 and 6, 7 and 5 on our season this year.
We're not going to go 6 and 6.
But I'm saying we're desperate for DGG. All it's been about all summer for the last year is DGG. He can change the life of this program. He can change the life.
Well, when
of Tennessee
Trevor Lawrence was
football.
in high school, I bet I mean, when he was coming out of high school, or Deshaun Watson, any of these guys that were top, I know they were quarterbacks, but like teams would have paid for them back then if NIL was a factor because they wanted to change the culture of their team. I mean, that's just how it works.
And we saw where we went for not doing it. Clemson wanted him and went and got him. He wanted to come to Tennessee, and we didn't even do anything.
Thank you, Butch Jones, our head coach.
But now
you can't say we're not desperate.
Well, I think there's a difference between the connotation behind the word desperate and you are heavily recruiting a guy. Ohio State is desperate for David Gabriel Georges as well. They want to land him, but Tennessee has done a better job of delivering on the things that he wants. I mean, if the jersey number is a big deal. Can't wear that at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Tennessee has put him in contact with Alvin Kamara, and that's a guy I'd want to learn from. And you know, a great volunteer, a guy that's been in the NFL for a long time. I know they've had Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson as of late, but Alvin Kamara is a multi-time, all-pro and Pro Bowler, and those guys haven't eclipsed that feat yet. I know Ohio State has a lot of great backs long time, over time as well, but Derek Owings is a big part of this too. DGG's already ripped. He is yoked. But you put him in with Derek Owings, and that's some progress going to be made as well.
I mean, I think we're going to get him. I do.
Yes.
I mean, he'd be an idiot not to come here for $2 million. I mean, that's an absurd amount of money.
But he also gets what he wants on his wish list. He's probably going to be RB1 next season. If Deshaun Bishop doesn't come back, which I don't think Deshaun Bishop's coming back next season. Deshaun Bishop has 1,200 rushing yards this season. He's going to the NFL. He's going to come here and be RB1 as a freshman, which was on his wish list. He's going to be number 0, which was on his wish list. He's going to have one of the best strength and conditioning coaches, if not the best strength and conditioning coach in the country. I mean, all these things are on his wish list of what he wanted. That's why, I mean, obviously money is a factor, but it's not like we're outbidding Ohio State by we're paying him $2 million. Ohio State's paying him, $500,000. Like, I mean,
no, they're definitely in the $1 million range for sure.
Yeah,
and that was what Chris Lowe reported.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a pretty similar offer.
Yeah,
I mean, he could take a little bit of a pay cut if he really wanted to go Ohio State. That was the team he grew up rooting for. So if you flip a kid from a team that or not flip him, but if you flip a mind of a guy of growing up an Ohio State fan to go to Tennessee, I mean, I think that speaks to what you did recruiting the kid.
Yeah, I mean, to say we're not desperate for him would be an understatement, though.
But I just think the word desperate has a certain viewpoint on it. I think that Tennessee has viewed him as the top priority, top target. And if you view someone or something as your top priority, that means you're willing to do whatever it takes to get them. I think desperation is if you're a failing program or if you are in a really bad situation and you are literally doing whatever it takes to land them.
But aren't we going to be in a bad spot if we don't get him? And you talk about Deshaun Bishop going pro next year.
I think
then we're having a different conversation on Wednesday afternoon.
And that's what I'm saying too. If you lose them, if David Gabriel,
that's why I'm saying that's where the desperation comes in, because if you miss on him, what do you have?
Well, I think
when Deshaun Bishop committed here, you didn't think Deshaun Bishop was going to be.
But I've seen a great running back here, and it's led to nothing for us. I mean, I don't know. We aren't winning championships with great running backs.
Well, I think if DGG does end up going to Ohio State, I don't think it would take much to convince Deshaun Bishop to come back for another year. I mean, if you're a kid like that grows up in Knoxville, grows up in Karns, going to Karns High School, and your dream is to play for Tennessee.
No, that was an easy one.
I don't think it would take much to convince him to come back for a third straight year. I think that, I mean, that's what Ohio State did when they won the championship in 24. They had a lot of guys that could have went pro, but they focused on keeping guys on the team for an extra year to be able to have that extra gear the next season. I don't think we're screwed if DGG goes to Ohio State. And I think there's a difference in being desperate for somebody and giving them what they want. I mean, I think just because you give a guy what they want on their list doesn't mean that you're desperate for a guy. I think this is a program defining recruit. I think this guy's on the level of a Derrick Henry or guys like that coming into high school. Like this guy has a potential to be one of, if not the greatest running backs in college football history. I mean, this is a kind of guy that you do that stuff for. I mean, we're not in a recruiting battle with Kentucky right now. I mean, we're in a recruiting battle with Ohio State. And I think if you find yourself in this position and you have the resources and your program's in a state where this guy wants to come here, I think we're just fine.
Miami paying $10 million to get Darian Mensah late in the transfer portal, tampering with him from Duke. That's desperate. Like, when I think of I would think that is like, I'm not saying that I understand what you're saying. I just don't think desperate's the right word. I don't think I just don't think desperate is what the word is. In my opinion.
I don't know.
I think desperate has a bad connotation behind it, and it screams, someone that is in a life or death situation, failing. And I would agree, Miami pumped out a $7 million deal for Darian Mensah because they literally did not have an option if he did not come. And that's why they were calling everyone in the ACC trying to take their quarterbacks, right? I think that's desperation. I think what Tennessee is in is we want this kid. He's our top priority. We need a running back in this class. And you could and I understand where you're coming from, Brett, and saying that if you don't land David Gabriel Georges, you're in a tough spot because you don't have one. Now, I know Asa Barnes, the other running back recruit, a 4-star, is looking at Tennessee as well. But obviously, David Gabriel Georges, you'd covet a little bit more. I don't think, if Deshaun Bishop has a good year, I assume, or at least the type of year he was telling me he's going to have, I think he's going to go to the NFL. You're going to need a running back one right away. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, I don't like paying running backs in the transfer portal because, they're already banged up. They've already gone through, Cam Cook had 295 carries this year.
Right.
And and some teams are going to go pay him up $1.5 million. That's a guy that could get, banged up and hurt. At least with DGG, you're getting him fresh and he can be your bell cow running back. And you've already got him locked in to where you don't have to get into a bidding war in the transfer portal, which we all know is what happens every year. And that market's going to go up. The highest paid running back, Keelan Lacey, is at $2 million. Next offseason, we're going to see running backs in the 2.5, $3 million range. It's just how it goes. The market's always going to rise. Everyone wants to be the next best guy. So even if you pay DGG $2 million, you're still going to be below market price for what the top guys are going to be paid. And if you believe DGG could have a 1,000-yard season in his first year on Rocky Top, like a Bo Jackson did at Ohio State as a true freshman this past year, then I think that's worth the investment. We're up against the break real quick. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay right here. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jacob Wilco at Knoxville Smiles. Have you ever wanted to improve the look of your smile? We know firsthand what the power of a great smile means to a person's confidence and health. Our team of doctors can provide you with an array of options for helping you achieve your cosmetic goals. From simply moving teeth into a better position, to reversible cosmetic bonding, to full mouth implant-supported dentures. It is our goal to help patients feel good about their appearance while achieving optimal health. Want to learn more? Call us at 865-539-1776 to schedule an evaluation or visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com.
Hi, this is Bo Kregner from the Kregner Group at Realty Executives, and I know there's a lot of choices here in East Tennessee when it comes to choosing a realtor. Here's why the Kregner Group is different. At the Kregner Group, our motto is walking by faith, serving others. It's how I live my life. It's how I run my business. Here at the Kregner Group, we're committed to doing real estate the right way. faith, honesty, integrity. The Kregner Group. Call me anytime at 865-742-1035 or visit my website at bonoshouses.com.
Welcome to Axle Logistics, where excellence isn't just a goal, it's an energy. As a leading third-party logistics company, Axle is powered by an award-winning culture built on a work hard, play hard mentality. Here, the drive for success is contagious and hard work never goes unnoticed. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, Axle Logistics is the place to launch your career. Join us and take your ambition to the stars. To learn more, visit axlelogistics.com.
All right, back here on the Playbook. We appreciate you listening along with us on this Monday broadcast of the show. A lot of chats in the YouTube chat. Matt in chat talking about the Nega Vols and trying to decipher who on this panel is a Nega Vol and who's not. But Josh Heupel-Sig says Bishop is going to come back and DGG will split carries probably. And even if that is the case, that's a hell of a 1-2 punch. And Javon Gordon in the mix as well.
I was going to say, if Deshaun doesn't come back, you would have Javon Gordon.
If Deshaun does come back, you'd have Javon Gordon, you have DGG. And
if Deshaun doesn't come back, you would also have I was saying if Deshaun doesn't come back and DGG was here, you would have, you're not going to get DGG killed with 300 carries. You could have him have 75% of the carries, and then Javon Gordon have some carries, and then whoever, I don't know, DeJuan Morris, whoever else is in that room also. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be a bad running back room doing it that way.
My thing is this. I just sometimes I'm fascinated by Tennessee fans, and this is not taking a shot at anyone. I'm just saying in general, I think it's fascinating sometimes that, everyone wants David Gabriel Georges, and he's one of the most highly coveted players at his position in the 2027 class, yet there are ways to look at it where it's a bad gig for Tennessee. Where, at the end of the day, I want the best recruits. I want the best players in each class. I want to have the best players playing for Tennessee year in and year out. David Gabriel Georges is that. And you've got to pay him $2 million, sure, but as we know, the market price will continue to rise. The price of teams will continue to rise. And if you're really trying to build something around Faison Brandon and TK Keys and David Sanders and Gabriel Osinda, all these guys you've recruited over the years, why not add to the mix with an elite prospect once again, where that 2027 team is really, really good. And then in 2028, you've got Faison and David Gabriel Georges paired up. That's one of the best running back quarterback duos in the league at that point, maybe in college football. Everyone's talking about Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, Keywan Lacey. That's awesome. Tennessee can have something like that if you continue to build off of it. So I understand there are gripes about the price. I understand it feels like Tennessee is almost in a desperation spot. But at the same time, if Tennessee were to lose DGG on Wednesday, people are coming out with pitchforks for Josh Heupel. How do you lose an in-state kid? How do you lose David Gabriel Georges? He was the top option, the top target. So I feel like we're almost putting a lose situation in both spots.
And kind of on that vein, it's like we talk about what position are we going to be in if we don't get David Gabriel Georges. But, look at the guys that we have that have been super successful running backs. Deshaun Bishop was a walk-on, and then you talked about Dylan Sampson. Like these guys are not these weren't number one player of their group kind of guy. It doesn't take immense talent to be a great running back. If you're strong, fast, and you got a good offensive line, you can be a successful running back. Like Heupel has shown that he doesn't need 5-star running backs to have really, really productive running back rooms. And I think I would love to have David Gabriel Georges. Obviously, he's a generational type guy. He's a once in a 10, 15 year kind of recruit. But if you don't end up getting him and he does, like worst case scenario, goes to Ohio State, I don't think we're going to have the worst running back room in the SEC. Like I still think we're going to have a really high level running backs just because the way Heupel utilizes running backs.
And again, that some of my point too is, and that you've had a ton of success with guys that have not been highly recruited. Imagine you bring in a top tier talent out of the high school ranks. Imagine the possibilities with a guy like that. Now, you mentioned Derrick Henry earlier. I don't know if I'm ready to say something like that yet, but you could see the parallels to a player like a Derrick Henry, like a Leonard Fournette that can come in and be an immediate impact, and you put them in the right program with Derek Owings and a running back friendly system that Josh Heupel runs, that's a really valuable player. That's a $2 million player in my book. If he's running for 20 touchdowns and 1,200 yards a year, that's worth the price of admission for me.
I mean, I was basically just saying it from the perspective of how good they are in high school. I mean, Leonard Fournette famously wasn't allowed to play, I don't know if it was high school, but middle school football or whatever it was, because he was too big. Like it was dangerous for other kids because he was just that much more physical. You look at DGG, I mean, if you saw that guy on the street, you would not think he's in high school. I mean, you'd think if you didn't know much about football and you didn't know who he was and you stuck him up against NFL running backs, you'd think, oh yeah, that guy's probably in the league. No, that guy's going into his senior year of high school.
If I didn't know he played football, I'd probably wonder what steroids he was on.
No, man, he's ripped. And he also ran a 4.31 40-yard dash not too long ago either. And that would have placed 5th among running backs in the NFL Combine this past season alone.
Look, if you're fast and you're hard to tackle because of your body size like that, I mean, that's like, I mean, some running backs are fast, a little bit more on the skinny side. Some running backs are more bulky and, aren't able to make the jab steps and the spin moves and stuff. This guy can do all that, it seems. I mean, he has the full package.
Yeah.
So
it's like a herd and a Camara in one.
I feel like it's like you want him 100%, and for some reason, if you don't get him, you still feel good about your running back room.
Real quick, Josh Heupel-Sig, he makes a good point. We don't know if we have a quarterback at all. All this is based on can Faison play. We don't know that at all. And that is 100% true. That is 100% true. But I just look at it based on the fact of you've got 2 guys in that room that were both highly recruited. More times than not, at least one of them is going to be of substance. And even Nico Imaliava was not great as a redshirt freshman. Like, he wasn't game-changing. He just kind of stayed on pace. And you relied on that really good offensive line. You relied on the running back, and you also relied on that defense. So even if Faison Brandon isn't some game changer, which at this point in time, I do believe he's got that type of ceiling, you can still rely on a really good offensive line and rely on a running back. And I think if anything, that's more beneficial for this Tennessee team to have a running back of service that can hold the weight and carry the weight of a quarterback that might still have some inconsistencies. We're up against the break. When we come back, we'll head to the phones, also continue talking DGG and the guys at SEC Media Days. Plenty to cover in hour number 2. We'll stay right here. It's Fan Run Radio.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever the they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox, Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340. WKGN Knoxville and W289CU Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
Smoky Mountain Brewery is the place to be for game day. From the moment you walk in, it's wall-to-wall big screens, making Smoky Mountain Brewery the perfect place to watch the Vols or your favorite team in action. With locations in Turkey Creek, Maryville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, you're never far away from a great time at Smoky Mountain Brewery. Try one of their world-famous microbrews like Black Bear Ale, Mountain Light, or Cherokee Ale. Juicy burgers, wings that bring the heat, and delicious handmade pizzas made with hand-tossed crust from the freshest ingredients and their own special sauce from a secret recipe, topped off with hand-grated cheese and farm-fresh toppings. And don't forget, those famous microbrews are also available in kegs for your next party or in 6-packs and growlers to go. So grab your crew and head to Smoky Mountain Brewery and tell them Fan Run Radio sent you. Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio. Garrett Armbrust, Brett Hollander, and Caleb DeBusk joining you. I'm William Pattison. Great stuff in hour number 1. We'll continue it here in hour number 2 as we continue to discuss David Gabriel Georges, his recruitment and impending decision on Wednesday, set for 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network and 24/7. And also SEC Media Days is in full swing. Tennessee and Josh Heupel set to get on the podium at 2:55 p.m. Eastern Time. It actually kind of works out for us because as soon as we're off the air, we're walking in and watching Josh Heupel answer some questions or give some scripted answers to some questions. We'll have to see. But plenty of great stuff going down. I feel like the offseason, at least for Tennessee, is kind of wrapping up today. I might be premature on that. I might just be chomping at the bit, so I'm claiming my stake today that the offseason is over. But as you can tell in hour number 1, we had a lot to discuss and a lot of fiery opinions, and we'll continue to get those in hour 2. We appreciate you listening along with us on the YouTube live stream as well. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe so you never miss any Fan Run content. And hey, kickoff is just around the corner. Make sure to keep tapped in with Fan Run Radio here, our new visual broadcast today. Caleb now adding to the responsibility bulletin board in terms of switching back the cameras, adding to the diversity of our stream. So should be good stuff. So I hope you appreciate it. Saw a couple of comments liking it. So good stuff. Let's head to the phones real quick. We have Roberto on the line. What's up, Roberto?
Good afternoon, guys. I've loved the topics today.
Thank you.
I don't like the verbiage that Tennessee is desperate for DGG. I don't like that. But I would say, in an old skier's term, I don't know if kids use this anymore because I'm old. But we used to say going full send, right?
Yeah.
They've gone full send on him. Not that they have to have him, but I think he could be a generational talent, and you can't miss on that. You can't have that kid an hour and 27 minutes from your campus for half his high school career and him not land at UT. You can't.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an all-in effort. I don't know if you play NCAA football, but it's called sending the house. I think Tennessee is doing that, sending the house in a sense. And that's not desperation in my eyes. That's just going after a kid that you really want and doing whatever it takes.
Full commitment to the cause.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And these Ohio State fans are hilarious. They're like, why would you go there? They suck. You're only going there for more money. It's, $600,000, if that's what it's being reported, $600,000 a year more for Tennessee. That's like no money. I know that sounds dumb, but that's like no money to Ohio State. And then to be pointing fingers and accusing people of buying players and buying championships when that's exactly what they did 2 years ago is one of the more laughable things that you could ever say. So I'm going to say I don't think it is desperation mode, but it is certainly, we have the opportunity to land an all-timer potentially. And if we don't, we kind of look like idiots.
Roberto, I'm the one that kind of brought up that word, and I was just thinking along the lines that it was a desperation because of the situation we're in. Like, Ohio State missing this guy, they're totally fine. With us, I have a lot of questions. Where we turn? We hope Deshaun Bishop's back, things like that. That's why I was using, and I probably shouldn't use that word, but that's kind of what it feels like to me, is why we're truly all in on this guy, and he's not even the top player in his class at this position.
I understand. But I'm using the word arguably because I've seen a lot of players come and go through, and a lot of great running backs from the state of Tennessee. Okay. I've seen tons of them since I remember all the way back to 86, 87, 89. I mean, all the way up to the 80s when Reggie Cobb, Basilio talked about it today. When Reggie Cobb was playing at UT, I remember that. It was, and Chuck Webb, some of the great ones from the 80s, 90s, and now. That sounds like a music station. Anyways. I remember those guys, and this guy looks the part of Jamal Lewis. Mm-hmm. Jamal Lewis came out of high school and should have gone straight into the NFL. Mm-hmm. That's how good he was, and this kid looks like he could do that. You cannot miss on that kid.
But again, though, look at the situation we're in with Jamal Lewis. We went to win a national championship, and he was hurt on the roster. We had players behind him that came. We don't have that luxury right now.
I disagree. I mean, okay. I'll disagree with you there because Deshaun Bishop is the first team potential all SEC running back. I mean, I think he was second team last year, or was he
second team? It was second team.
Yeah.
But we're talking about next year. DGG doesn't have any influence on this year. Like, that's hoping if Deshaun stays another year. Then you're not feeling as bad about
Deshaun
missing.
Bishop, doesn't he have 2 years?
I think he does, but I think the talk is, them saying that if he has a good season, I mean, we're talking 1,400 yards. We're talking probably not a high draft pick, but one of the top running backs in the class for sure.
Now, and I guess the reason I'm not saying it's desperation, Brett, is because Josh Heupel took a kid from Carnes, who was a great high school running back in the state of Tennessee, had him walk on, and turned him into an all-SEC performer.
No, we can go down the list. So yeah, no doubt.
Desperate is probably not the word I'd use, but because desperate, I agree with William there. That implies that if you don't, then you're screwed, and I just don't see that.
Okay.
Because you can go pluck a 4-star, a real good 4-star out of somebody else's class and be like, hey, look, here you go. And we're going to give you 600, 800,000. You're a 4-star. We need a kid. We need somebody to come in. That'll be it.
Not even that. We've proven that we don't need that high level of player.
Right. I think this is a luxury for Tennessee. I agree with what you just said. I agree with what you just said. Like, I think DGG is a luxury, and it's like putting a Ferrari, in a middle class neighborhood. We can take middle class and live it well with running backs, but everybody wants a Ferrari.
No, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I love a Ferrari.
Yeah, and he's actually built more like a tank Ferrari. I don't know what a tank Ferrari would look like.
He's built like a G-Wagon.
So, yeah, I think it's huge. And I think he chooses UT. And if Nakos is saying it, Nakos has got somebody's ear. I don't know who it is over there, but, I mean, Tennessee clearly told him.
Yeah, most of the time with these expert predictions, it's just the kid telling Pete Nakos or whoever it is where he's going. I know it's a little bit different when you get into the upper echelon of these kind of recruits. Sometimes they're a little more close to the chest, but most of the time these expert predictions is just the kid telling them where they're going.
It just seems like he wouldn't have done it unless he felt comfortable with that prediction, because like you've said, Nakos, he only usually does transfer portal stuff. Like, you don't really ever see him dip his toe into high school.
Yeah,
that's something that Will Fong and some of those other guys, that work for Rivals that focus strictly on high school recruiting do. But for a guy that talks mainly about college football, that's players that are already playing college football, for him to dip his toe into a high school recruit, I think that's telling in my opinion.
He's got a 98%.
And I think it's telling on how important. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he's got a 98% prediction, like correction percentage when it comes to high school recruiting on his website.
Far be it from Tennessee to be the 2% that's wrong, right?
Yeah.
With our history, but I'm really excited. This is the first high school recruitment I've given a crap about in 8 years.
I think a lot of people
Josh
are
Heupel's been there.
A lot of people.
Well, we
are
cared
kinda
about
in that
David
boat.
Sanders, right? I mean, his situation
No, yeah,
is
that's
similar
true.
a little bit.
Honestly,
And I remember being
did,
heavily
but I
involved
didn't
in
follow
Jordan
it like
Seaton
this.
until he went to
TK
Colorado.
Keys, I feel like, was pretty big.
Yeah.
Who was that?
I was just saying, I feel like TK Keys was pretty big. Obviously, I mean, Sanders was big because, I mean, he was between Ohio State.
I remember being locked in on Seaton.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about
they
Seaton.
had my attention,
Yeah.
but not like I can't wait to watch this announcement happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I watched a
Which
prediction
I will
announcement
tune
was
into.
Carnell
So,
Tate.
but I'm a sheep too. Guys, great show. Really enjoyed it. Brett, sorry the World Cup ended the way it did.
Oh, that was a horrible ending to a great tournament.
I mean, it literally the best World Cup of my lifetime.
I'm still so mad
and
right
then
now.
Just like took a big old dump in the
Yeah,
last
it really
game.
was. Yeah.
The third place game. I know everybody loves high scoring soccer or whatever. The third place game was just better
That was a joke.
soccer.
But that was a
than-
joke game.
than-
They don't need to play those.
Yeah, I mean when you don't have a shot, not a shot on target, not a shot on goal, as
Yeah.
the kids say, right? But if you don't have a shot in 90 minutes with Liam Amese on the field, that is horrible. That is a horrible.
FIFA did their best, man. They did their best. They got him there, but he couldn't capitalize.
All I know is Tottenham's defense is going to be pretty good next year. So,
Good stuff from Roberto. Appreciate you calling in. Let's take a look at a couple of these YouTube chats as well. I think there was someone earlier asking if DGG plays in Knoxville this year in terms of Baylor school schedule. October 30th happens to be Tennessee's bye week too. So maybe we can get 101,000.
Just move to Neyland.
Yeah.
Do they play Catholic?
They play Catholic.
Yeah.
Moving Baylor and Knoxville Catholic to Neyland
It's our
Stadium.
bye week, man. Might as well.
Might as well. I bet they can fill it up. I bet you put about 40,000 fans
that'd be
in there.
interesting to see how many people would show up.
You could
to that
definitely beat out like an orange and white game for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to answer someone's question earlier in the YouTube chat, Baylor School will travel to Knoxville Catholic on October 30th. That's a Friday. That's also before Halloween and during Tennessee's bye week.
Too bad Tyreek King was not still playing there. You could have Tyreek King and DGG on the field at the same time.
How good is a Catholic these days? I don't really keep up with high school football very much.
They're on probation.
Yeah,
last 2 years.
They got in
too.
some trouble.
I did see that.
They did get in some trouble. But you know what? You know what my advice to them was, Brett?
What's that?
Just file an injunction. Filing the injunction, they're all good. No issues.
Over under how many years until we legitimately could see like a high schooler try and get an injunction? I don't think we're like
It's
that
not
far
far,
off.
no.
I legitimately think in the next 2 years you see kids in high school quarterbacks. There's some kid, I don't follow high school recruiting that much, but some kid in Texas, he transferred schools and he's like one of the top quarterbacks in the state, and now he's ineligible to play this season. It's like, what are we doing?
I think Garrett Nussmeier's brother's going.
I think
through
that
it.
was. Oh, yeah,
Maybe that's who it was.
I think that's who
that
it
might be who it
Yeah.
is. Maybe that is
I
who
think
it
it's Garrett
is.
Nussmeier's brother.
When I was playing high school basketball, I had a kid. He transferred over to a different school, and he had to sit out a year, and he tried to file some appeal with something. So I mean, it's been done at a lower scale before. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's far off until we see.
Just got to get a
injunctions
judge
for
that was an alumni of that private school.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, before we get back into, let's see. We'll go back to DGG. We'll kind of put a bow on that, as I know there's been a lot of discussion. Once again, looking at some of these YouTube chats, Matt in chat says DGG is the best running back in Tennessee high school since Jalen Hurd. And Hypel Sig says, I've watched a few times. I don't think he was any better in high school than Gerald Riggs Jr. That was in response to Roberto comparing him to Jamal Lewis. Let's see. Buck says he rode the bus with Reggie in high school. Beat that, Roberto. So a couple of good chats there. Let's see. And Hypel Sig one more time. That's what we are saying here in the next 4 years. And Natty, because of Faison and DGG, I guess they're talking about what that timeline looks like. But to put a bow on DGG before we kind of get back into the SEC Media Days, which are going on right now in Tampa, Florida. Josh Heupel set to hit the podium in about 40 minutes. David Gabriel Georges is a guy that I don't think Tennessee could have missed on. And obviously, there's still an opportunity that there's still a chance that he commits to Ohio State or even maybe Ole Miss on Wednesday. I think it's going to be Tennessee. But I think if you're Josh Heupel, you missed on Savion Hyder last year, who ended up committing to Michigan. He was a 5-star running back. A lot of Vols fans were upset about that. And I remember the reaction. Well, you better not miss DGG. And that's been the precipice of this whole recruitment, the top priority, the top target for the Volunteers. He's done a great job in terms of just landing top-tier talent at certain positions offensively. Whether you think or know that a Faison Brandon will work out or a TK Keys will work out or Gabriel Osuna, whoever you want to go down the list on, despite how you feel about what they might be, they were still highly recruited at a high school. So there is a ceiling there that more times than not can be achieved, and that leads to a really high blue chip ratio, which we discussed last week is so very important for a national championship, and also having the best player on the field at each position. If you now have a 5-star running back, a 5-star wide receiver, a 5-star running back, a 5-star offensive tackle, offensive guard, you have built an offense that you're expected to build at Tennessee. I think he's meeting expectations doing that. I know the $2 million price tag is going to push people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, the market price for running backs will continue to climb. Next year, when we're heading into the offseason and the transfer portal is about to get going, there are going to be multiple top-tier running backs that enter their name. And they're going to get $2.5 million, $2 million to go somewhere. Tennessee's already going to have their guy at the same price. And sure, he's unproven, hasn't done it on the college level, but this is a kid that I think if you go and watch the tape and you go and watch him in person, he is a big dude. He is fast. I mean, that's on tape. 4.31 40-yard dash would have placed 5th among running backs in the NFL Combine this past year. I think that's a guy that fits all the dimensions to be really successful here. So even if you don't like the price tag, there are a lot of people that will be upset if you missed on him. And also, he's the type of guy that when you stack up what he has done and what he brings to the table in terms of intangibles, it's not someone you can pass up on. So I think at the end of the day, I think David Gabriel Georges has been the most important thing in this class. And if you're trying to build a championship roster, which is what everyone wants, you've got to hit all the positions. Quarterback, 5-star. Wide receiver, 5-star. Offensive tackle, 5-star. Guard, 5-star. Running back, got a little bit of a question mark. But I think we'll see an orange-colored question mark on Wednesday. Guys, anything else to add on that?
It would be pretty funny maybe not funny, but if you landed him and, people were up in arms that you didn't get Hyder last year and then you end up possibly landing a guy that's better than Hyder, that'd be, some things just work out. You don't think they're going to work out at the time. That could be one of those situations where you were mad that you didn't get Savion Hyder. He goes to Michigan. You get DGG instead. Obviously, Hyder's probably not going to be their RB1 this year with Marshall there. And then, if Bishop goes to the NFL this next season and then DGG's your RB1 next season, it just could end up working out better, the running back that you got out of the high school portal for your 2027 season.
Brett, any final piece on DGG?
No, I mean, it makes it sound like I don't want the guy, but I do. But I mean, I just think the situation is a little more, and a little more up in the air for us. Like if we don't land him, then if Ohio State, weren't to get him and things like that, I think it's an important piece for us to, if 2027 is the year everybody's looking at. I mean, this guy's going to be a huge part of that. And if you're going to get to the playoff, and you've got to have guys like this in your team to win championships and to get to the next level. So if you miss, I don't know where that leaves you. And then that's the biggest. That's why I keep throwing the word desperate out there. Maybe it's not the right word, but I think it can be used in different ways and things like that. So it's going to be a big miss if we don't get him, and a huge get if we do. I mean, it's a huge risk reward, and stuff like that. So, we'll see what Wednesday holds. I still. I'm on the fence about the whole thing. I mean, I think we ultimately get him, but I'm not as confident as probably a lot of other people and stuff like that. There's still a lot of these so-called experts that are in this as well, like NACOS, and maybe even to a higher level that still side on Ohio State. They haven't changed their predictions. So that's why I'm still kind of on the fence about which way he truly goes, but I do lean more so Tennessee than anything.
Caleb?
Yeah, somebody in the chat earlier, they said something about his DGG success here kind of relying a lot on how Faison performs. And I know we keep talking about 24 and Nico and stuff, but I just want to put kind of into perspective how that like we all say, oh, Nico didn't play. I want to put into perspective for people just kind of how bad he played in those big games against Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. He had 2 touchdown passes in all of those games.
Mm-hmm.
And then against Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, UTEP, and Vanderbilt, he had 14. So I don't really think. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year, phenomenal seasons, a phenomenal career here at Tennessee. No matter who I could go out there and play quarterback, and he's still probably going to rush for 1,000 yards. I don't think it. Like Heupel's offense and the passing threat is not based on the quarterback; it's based on his offensive scheme. And like, if you got guys wide open downfield, you're not going to stack the box, regardless of if you've got a high level quarterback or not. So I know it's not really related to the conversation, but I just wanted to put that into perspective for people. Just kind of how bad the quarterback play was in 24 and how we got there with the defense and the running game. And like I've said, I think that we're going to have a on par running game, because I think our offensive line and Deshaun Bishop is going to be just about as good. And then I think you weren't here when I said it 2 weeks ago, but I said that I think this defense this year has a real shot, and I think they're going to be better than they were in 24, because I think that defense was a lot of smoke and mirrors in 24, and we played a lot of really bad offenses. And then when we played 2 really good teams in Ohio State and Georgia, we gave up 31 and 42 points. So,
well, they'll for sure earn their money's worth this year with the type of schedule that Tennessee has on deck. Real quick, Buck says this is a serious question. We're going to offer $2 million plus, and he has a year left in high school. Sorry, boys, that's scary as hell. And yeah, anytime you're paying a running back, specifically a guy that is going to get hit every time he touches the football, unless he breaks away, and he does break away a good bit. And that is fair. He does break away,
and
a
he's
good
getting
bit.
hit by like tiny dudes, not
that
SEC level guys.
That is true.
Say what you want about the schedule, it's still a bunch of guys that are going to be, what do you call them, frat kids at Ole Miss, and
the Sigma Chi pledge class at Ole Miss in 2026.
I did see they do scrimmage the number 1 team in the nation August 7th.
Wow.
In a preseason game. So,
you better have bubble wrap
Georgia.
on them.
Yeah, so who knows?
All right, good stuff. When we come back on the other side, we're going to pivot back to SEC Media Days, discuss the other volunteers set to hit the podium, and also what Greg Sankey had to say about the state of the conference possibly pulling away and becoming its own entity. Is that even reality? We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook.
Can't get enough Fan Run Radio? Download the free Fan Run app and take the best Tennessee sports conversations with you wherever you go.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jacob Wilco at Knoxville Smiles. Have you ever wanted to improve the look of your smile? We know firsthand what the power of a great smile means to a person's confidence and health. Our team of doctors can provide you with an array of options for helping you achieve your cosmetic goals. From simply moving teeth into a better position, to reversible cosmetic bonding, to full mouth implant-supported dentures. It is our goal to help patients feel good about their appearance while achieving optimal health. Want to learn more? Call us at 865-539-1776 to schedule an evaluation, or visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com.
Are you ready for the start of a new season? Maybe looking for your team to go on a tournament run? Get game day ready with Crumble. Head on over to your nearest location and pick up 12 pre-selected cookies plus exclusive toppers. When you're looking for dessert options, there's no question about who you should call on. Our listeners already know. Last year, the Dubai chocolate was a home run, along with the brownie batter. Oreo crumb was another crowd favorite. What new flavor will set the standard this season? If you're in the Knoxville area, there are 3 locations ready to serve you: Clinton Highway, Parkside Drive, and Maryville. Download the Crumble app to build your best lineup and vote on the best combos. You can even put your bid in to request a new flavor. Order in the app and slide on over to your nearest location. Tell them Fan Run sent you, and as always, it's for the fans, by the fans. Don't miss the cookies.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
White Claw is taking hard seltzer to new heights with White Claw Surge. At 8% alcohol, White Claw Surge is a stronger wave of refreshment that doesn't compromise on taste. Available in 4 bold waves of flavor like ripe blackberry, citrusy blood orange, zesty natural lime, and tart cranberry. Check out your favorite retailer in-store and online for the White Claw Surge Variety 12-pack and 16-ounce single-serve cans. White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly.
Fan Run Radio, the flagship station for Tennessee fans.
This ain't no wishy-washy, limp-wristed, kale-eating, half-ass sports radio station.
We're your in-your-face, truth-telling, say it loud, flag-waving, face-painting, hardcore, bring the noise, causing a ruckus, don't give a damn sports station.
Sports talk that doesn't just hang up and listen.
For the fans. This is Fan Run Radio.
Get some.
All right, back here on the Playbook. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this fine Monday from Knoxville, Tennessee. Good discussion so far. A reminder coming up in 34 minutes. It's The Drive with Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith. They'll be taking you the rest of the way on today's programming. Josh Heupel set to hit the stage in Tampa, Florida at 2:55 on the SEC Network. He'll also be joining Paul Feinbaum shortly after that. So we'll get some Josh Heupel sound bites. I think Matt in the chat earlier, that's a lot of chats, said that we can all pretty much figure out what Josh Heupel is going to say. We could probably just put it in the chat itself. But again, we'll see what type of new phrases he's got for this year. Last year, watching those press conferences, control the controllables was probably my favorite. And I even started using it in my own commentary. That's probably how many times I started listening to it. But
always one too.
Compete at a high level, relentless effort, control the controllables, stay in front of all that crap.
Never make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Cookout Tray, that's a hell of a YouTube name. Ole Miss may as well not even have a hat on the table Wednesday. Ha ha ha. That is true.
Is he going to do I really hope he doesn't do the fake out, like put the hat on, take it off, rip it. Like, I hope he doesn't. I hate when guys do
all that.
I hate it when guys
all the
do
shenanigans.
He seems like he's a pretty serious dude.
Yeah, I don't think
you don't really ever see him smiling. Like, he just seems like he's always all business.
Well, he doesn't speak. I mean, he doesn't speak
great
English. So, I mean, is he going to have his uncle doing the, is he going to be like sitting up there talking in French and then have his uncle over there saying everything for him? I don't know how it's going to work.
I bet he speaks English. He's probably just not PR trained enough to, speak it. There's just some people that are like
Migo, Tennessee.
Yeah, like Shohei, he can speak English almost personally
Tennessee.
Fine now. He just doesn't ever speak it because you don't want to, say the wrong thing and people think you're an idiot and mess up.
Yeah, I will say he's a big dude for a 17-year-old.
Heupel just should have had him walk on stage
today.
Yeah,
with him.
Just here's our new Adidas guy.
Yeah, I'd love to see how.
Sorry, T-Lander, we got a new guy.
I'd love to see how that fares with the SEC league office.
I bet he's like a Francis Ngannou where he just pretends he doesn't speak English.
Yeah, I bet he speaks English. There's no way he has all the buddies on the football team and doesn't speak English. I mean, I'm sure he speaks English, just not to the media.
Yeah.
And it's not like Canada is like a 100% French-speaking country. I mean,
but Quebec is like the one province that
they
do speak pretty much all French in. Yeah. So if he hasn't been out, if he lived in Toronto or Western Canada, that'd be one thing. But Quebec is pretty much all French.
Interesting. All right, well, let's get back to the English programming as SEC Media Days is fully underway. And Commissioner Greg Sankey reiterated Monday that talk of the conference breaking away is, quote, real and not a leverage play. The idea of an SEC breakaway, either to a drastic or small extent, has been simmering within the conference for a while, then broke out at SEC spring meetings in late May. Sankey did not directly address the possibility during his opening comments on Monday at the start of the SEC football media days. But the first question was about how real that breakaway could be for the SEC. This was his answer. Quote, they're real. People have talked about that. They've they've opinioned about the frustrations that bring them to the point of saying we should look at something significantly different. I do not believe that is a leverage point. I think that's just honest communication. I think that's what's important in those comments, represent a high level of frustration in the circumstances in which we find ourselves. So I'll translate that word salad of generalities to, yeah, we're considering it, but I don't know how real it actually is. And if the SEC were to actually do this, not only would college football enter a whole new landscape of chaos, but also it just would be the complete wrong move. Are we just going to play a 16-game SEC schedule? What does that even look like? Like,
yeah,
I don't. It's some,
awful.
Anytime a business has a big boom or a lot of popularity, they're always looking to, expand and do the new big thing or whatever it may be. But not every time it actually works. I remember I was watching a couple of weeks ago, the GoPro. The GoPro was such a fixation when it came out. So many people were wowed by the opportunity of having a really high definition camera that you could put anywhere. And GoPro decided to, continue to build on products and make a lot of new things. And they released this other new camera. It was called like the Hero or something. It was supposed to be like the discounted version, but like it was damn near the same price and didn't have any of the new specifics. Like they didn't really do anything more with it. And it was a huge failure. If the SEC were to fully expand on its own and say, we're doing our own thing, we're going away from college football and everything else that everyone else is doing, I think it'd be a big failure. Yeah, the SEC is the best conference, brings in the most television. I get all of that. But if you separate yourself from what everyone across the country can get around, and that is college football, Division I FBS football, then I think it's going to take a hit that they don't really anticipate at this point in time. Because if everyone else continues to do their own thing, if the Big 12 and the Big 10 and all those other conferences say, we're still playing football, we'll play in the college football playoff, I think the college football playoff is still going to hold a lot of weight compared to the SEC national championship. I just think it's a horrible idea, and it's just a lot of window dressing and kind of getting people sparked up from Greg Sankey. I really question sometimes the people that make decisions in these rooms, and I sometimes really question the type of
leaders
person that Greg Sankey is. I mean, sometimes he just comes off as a complete slime ball, and stuff like this would add up with that. What do you make of Sankey's comments, Garrett? Do you think the SEC would actually try to do their own thing completely?
I hope not. This would be. I'm not even kidding. If this happened and the SEC broke away from the rest of college athletics, it would be. I mean, it would be unequivocally the dumbest move in sports history. Point blank dumbest move I'd ever seen in sports history. Why would you move away from the college football playoff and do your own thing? I love the SEC. I'm from the South, grew up an SEC fan my whole life. Why would you break away from the college football playoff when you haven't even won the college football playoff in 3 years? It doesn't make sense. You need to win championships to assert yourselves as the number one conference, because right now, while the SEC is the deepest conference, the Big Ten's winning championships. And so if you go into the SEC Invitational and Georgia beats Texas, I mean, who cares? I mean, that doesn't hold any weight. Or if this goes for other sports, basketball, you're definitely not winning. I mean, Florida won the championship, but outside of that, you haven't really had SEC teams win the NCAA basketball tournament in the past decade. You haven't even really had that many teams go on deep runs outside of Alabama in the Final Four. Florida's obviously gone on some runs. South Carolina went on that run a few years ago. You see Elite Eight runs and stuff, but that doesn't make sense. Baseball, it definitely wouldn't make sense. It just would ruin the entire culture of Division I athletics, and especially at the FBS level in college football. And as someone who likes all of college sports and not just the SEC, it would be kind of embarrassing, to be honest, if I was an SEC fan and that was happening. It'd just be stupid.
Well, I think people love competition, even outside of the SEC, the rivalries and going up against each other's teams. I think fans of teams in the SEC like the competition going up against teams in the Big 12 and teams in the Big 10 across the country, to where it feels like you're actually achieving something. Like if you're a national champion, you are the national champion of the United States, not just a region. And again, I just think, sometimes expansion and continuing to evolve is good, but other times it ends up in a huge catastrophe.
I'd get so bored of just playing 16 teams. Like the fun thing about, having these out of conference games is Tennessee fans get to go experience the culture of Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. And, Georgia Tech fans, when we play them in Knoxville, can come up and experience Neyland, or Texas fans can go to Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio State fans can go to Austin, Texas. Like that's fun. Or, college basketball, the ACC SEC Challenge, that's fun. There's no fun in just going to SEC games every time. Like, I love SEC college towns, and like they're awesome, but I also like the other ones, the other things that you get to play in non-conference games. Alabama playing Florida State, like that's fun for those students. When you're a student in college, going to away games is fun, and going to the same ones every single year would get a little bit boring.
Yeah, and I think that's why when the SEC expanded, adding Texas and Oklahoma, a lot of SEC fans were excited because now you get to go to different venues and you get to experience a game in Norman, Oklahoma, a game in Austin, Texas. If you're playing the same teams over and over again, you're not seeing any new sights. You're not seeing any new opponents. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. And over time, I just think that becomes a stale product.
Isn't this? It'd be what people are so mad about Notre Dame a little bit is they're their own entity, and people are mad they're not in a conference, and this would be another level to that. People are mad that Notre Dame has signed a thing that said they finished top 12, they're automatically in a playoff spot, and they're not in a conference. That was the big argument last year. It was one of the reasons they didn't get in, besides the fact they didn't beat Miami or whatever. But it'd be that to a whole nother level of that, and it really would be pretty terrible to see then SEC just run away scared almost because the Big Ten starting to take away their championships.
And even as Buck comments on the chat, college football was so much better when you had Nebraska versus Oklahoma, Penn State versus USC, Nebraska versus Notre Dame. I agree. I think it, as much as expansion has allowed for bigger matchups week in and week out, I think it's also taken away some matchups that a lot of people long coveted that we don't get any longer. And, for Tennessee, obviously many of Tennessee's rivals are within the conference, but, for a Nebraska and Oklahoma, for example, or a Nebraska and Texas, those games used to be highly anticipated in the Big 12. We don't get that anymore because they have moved on. But now if you're just totally sectioning off your conference, you're eliminating all of that.
You wouldn't even get Georgia Tech, Florida State, South Carolina, Clemson.
And what's what's the incentive for some of those rivalries that go on beyond the conference? What's their incentive to play those games?
You would have so many people there would be so many SEC fans. If this happened, I probably would I don't want to say this because I love college football so much, but I would probably have a little bit definitely less interest, and there'd be a lot of people that would probably just completely just stop paying attention if this happened, because it would just be stupid. Like, why would you do that?
There are a lot of idiots that make big decisions in our world. Greg Sankey. Come on, man. Just let's be normal. Caleb, what do you make of it?
When I was a kid, I used to think, all these guys making these decisions are really smart and know what they're doing. And the older I get, I realize that these guys are really stupid. A lot of these guys that make these decisions have no idea what they're talking about and have no experience in what they're making decisions on. But I think if I think a breakaway period is very possible. I think if there was a breakaway, it wouldn't be just the SEC. It would be the SEC and the Big Ten, or the SEC and the Big Ten and maybe the Big 12. It would be something. Multiple conferences would have to be in on it for it to have even a shot at being successful. I don't want to see the SEC break away at all because, like you said, it would get boring. Like for example, when you play NCAA football, how many times are you playing another SEC team? You always, when you're playing a team, you always pick an outside of conference team because it's fun. Like you want to play teams that you don't normally get to play, and then that would impact obviously bowl season. And you got a bowl game. We're playing in a bowl game against Mississippi State. Like that's not very fun. And then even when it comes to to basketball. We wouldn't get to we wouldn't get to play in March Madness. Like we wouldn't get to go to Omaha in baseball. We would it would impact so many things in such a negative way and have virtually no positive effects at all. Because I mean, if the SEC just broke away on its own, I think there's enough outside of just the SEC. I think is the deepest, and I don't think they're the best conference. I think they're the deepest and most entertaining conference to watch. But I think that's if you compare them to each conference individually. If you compare them to the rest of college football as a whole, I think the rest of college football as a whole is probably better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see how breaking away solely individually is a good idea. I don't entirely think Greg Sankey is being 100% serious. I think maybe he's, again, just trying to strengthen his hand a little bit. And I think you might see the Big Ten commissioner come out in Big Ten media days and probably say something similar. But I think it's all there's a big battle going on behind some closed doors that we know nothing about right now. I would assume with talks like this and stuff, but I think Greg Sankey is just trying to strengthen his position a little bit. I don't think there's much seriousness into what he's saying.
Yeah. And Music City Sam on the chat chimes in and says, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't even entertain it. And I kind of agree. I think this would be, I think this is something that Greg Sankey doesn't even believe. And even if he gets up there today and starts talking about how it's real, take away the dynamics of being a commissioner of the league and all of that. Are you really going to break away from college football just to do your own thing? I just think that's incredibly stupid.
It would completely flip college athletics in ways too. I mean, it would go down to even the FCS. When Furman comes to play Tennessee this season, we're going to beat Furman probably 65-7, but Furman's going to get $1 million paycheck, and that $1 million paycheck is really going to help them in the SoCon this year. I mean, I understand that when we're thinking about this, those are the last things that you're thinking about, but I'm just saying the realm of impacts that it would have would go very far down the ladder to things that you're not even thinking about.
I mean, it pays their equipment, pays their travel bills, and they also get to go play in a cool venue. I know a lot, I know people don't like the Cupcake Week and they've gone away from that, but at the end of the day, it does help those programs out. And there are people that are dramatically affected by the decisions of we're not going to play teams like that any longer. I get it. No one wants to see it in the second to last week in November, but it also does help those programs that, you probably know people that have played in the FCS level, and their opportunity to do that is by way of a Big Ten or an SEC team hosting them for a weekend to get their butts beat in.
Yeah, and a lot of people are they hate the cupcake. They're like, oh, why are you just playing this cupcake game? I guarantee you these teams like Kent State or Chattanooga or something, they like these games way more than we do.
Yeah.
Because they get cut a fat check. And if they play 3 or 4 of those a year, that's a lot of money going into your football program. And a lot of people don't think about that because they're just like, oh, I want to watch good football. That's how college football has ran since the beginning of college football, and that's how it will continue to run. That's you can't just completely change the lifeblood of an entire sport. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Music City Sam says the money people would make Sankey have a car accident before this ever happened. I think that's a shot at Matt Miller from the fantasy football situation going on currently. But as we continue our media day coverage, we also did not get to hit on a couple of other Tennessee players that are representing the Volunteers this week. Arian Carter, one of those. We talked to Sean Bishop earlier. Arian Carter making his second straight SEC Media Days appearance. All SEC linebacker, led the conference in tackles per game last year despite battling injury. Withdrew from the NFL draft, originally entered the transfer portal. Tennessee was able to get him back, and he has amassed 161 total tackles and 13.5 tackles for loss in 31 career games with 22 starts. 3-time academic All-SEC recipient as well. But he is now going to be a part of this new-look defense under Jim Knowles and company. Amari Campbell, another linebacker of importance. He transfers in from Penn State. He was the green dot guy for the Nittany Lions last year. That means the helmet to coach player communication. But for Carter, I think the big question for him is his injury history. Last year was sidelined from that turf toe and missed a couple of big games. That's something I think about this year. I think he is progressing to full health. But at the end of the day, if he's not available, that's a big chunk of cash you paid to have him back in Knoxville. and also just a really big player. Garrett, what do you forecast for Carter this upcoming season, and how much of his injury history do you take into account?
I mean, I know a lot of people are concerned about if AC is at 100% health this year and plays all the games and stuff. In my opinion, though, I don't think you'd bring him to media day unless you felt confident with where he's at with his injuries and where his health is at. I just don't think you would bring a guy to media days that's only going to play 5 games or be hurt at the beginning of the season. That it just doesn't seem like that would happen. So I you got him back. Obviously, it was kind of weird how it all happened. Didn't play in the Music City Bowl. He's going to go to the draft. Doesn't get the news he likes from people telling him where he's going to go. Enters the transfer portal, comes back. All this stuff. He's been one of the best players in your defense the last few years. You got to be really excited that you get him back again. Linebacker is the most important position on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. I mean, that's where they're like the quarterback of the defense. They're the leaders of the defense. A lot of team captains are linebackers. Arian Carter's been on all these Tennessee teams that have been, with us for the past couple of years. He's been a part of a playoff team. He was a part of last year's team. I expect pretty big things from him. I expect him to be one of your best defensive players this season.
Also want to talk Jeremiah Thielander, Gainesville, Georgia native, started at linebacker the last 2 seasons for the Vols and carries a streak of 21 straight starts into the season opener. Ranked second on the team with 80 tackles last year, and he's accumulated 158 and 12 tackles for loss in his entire career. He was voted onto the 2026 SEC Football Leadership Council as UT's representative, and he's representing Tennessee as well. Brett, you had some question about that. Yeah. But what are you interested in hearing from Thielander and Carter at SEC Media Days?
They're going to get a lot of questions about this defense. They've got a lot to, they were a part of a defense that was really good, and they were a part of a defense that was really bad, or at least Carter was. I don't think Thielander was, but they're going to have a lot of questions about this new look defense. They were kind of the reason why we were held back last year, I think, and where we could have gone. The offense was really good and should have won a lot of football games, but the defense was poor, to say the least. Say it was injuries or whatnot, but they're going to need to bounce back. And these are 2 guys that are been a part of the program, and I think Carter's probably ended up playing. Should play more than Thielander. I don't know where Thielander falls on depth chart with a Spillman and Perlotti and loaded linebacker room with Campbell coming in and things like that. So they're just going to get those questions about this new look defense. A lot of new faces on this defense, new coordinators, different things like that. So they should be excited, and I'm looking forward to both of them playing this year.
All right, when we come back on the other side, we'll wrap things up, talk a little World Cup final from yesterday as Spain defeats Argentina, and our final thoughts before Josh Heupel hits the podium. Stay right here. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Citizens National Bank. Life is more fun with a Good Life account, offering extra benefits, including bank travel. Experience the trip of a lifetime to Ireland. Explore rolling green hills, historic castles, and charming villages across the Emerald Isle. Get in on the fun. Call 865-429-7935 today.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
All right, back here on the Playbook. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Monday. Coming up in 12 minutes, it's The Drive with Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith. They'll take you the rest of the way on this Monday. Wrapping it up with our final thoughts. We've had so much to cover that we almost didn't get to the World Cup final as Spain won their first World Cup in extra time in 2010, and they did so the same on Sunday against Argentina to become world champions for a second time. And it was Ferran Torres who was Spain's hero, shooting past Emiliano Martinez in the 106th minute to break Argentina's hearts and stop Lionel Messi and his team from winning back-to-back World Cups. The 39-year-old Messi had his quietest game of the tournament with just a single touch in the opening 15 minutes, and that was from the kickoff. Argentina did not have a shot in the first half and struggled to test Spain, who were the better team throughout the day, and Spain wins it all inside MetLife Stadium. I will say my one critique on it.
Go ahead.
I thought the Musical performances were horrible. I could have done without I Show Speed. I don't want to see that guy again.
I didn't even see that. That was before the game, right?
Yeah, whatever that was.
The FIFA theme song I could have done without as well.
Oh, Shakira's
with
song.
with Future's on it, right? Or Future's on one of them. Yeah.
Not a Justin Bieber guy, Will?
I do like Justin Bieber, but he didn't really play a popular song, was it?
What he sang Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah, I don't know that.
That was an interesting choice.
That's like his 90. I saw someone tweeted out the 98th most popular song by Justin Bieber, and he plays that on the World Cup stage. But game was good, down to the wire. I was over here at the station, but
the game was not good. I would have probably. I know you put in a lot of work, and I really appreciate it. But I almost would have been rather doing what you were doing. Watch that awful. It's just so disappointing to watch that game yesterday for a soccer fan like myself. At least soccer won yesterday, because what Argentina was trying to do yesterday and did do after the game was just appalling, and it makes it very disappointing that it ended the way it did.
I know a lot of people were upset about it. I was being a little facetious with my good guy. But I will say the third place game was good. That was,
it was a pointless. It was a point.
Regardless of the meaning of it.
I think people were saying, like, if soccer was like this, I'd watch soccer all the time. It was like a hockey match almost. Like,
regardless of the meaning of it.
Yeah. I mean, I was in there. It got Mbappe the golden boot, I guess, and Garrett was speaking on that, on Friday, if that should count, and I don't think it should, but especially the way the game played out. But just overall, just very disappointed in Argentina. But Spain was ultimately the best team throughout this whole tournament. I probably should have given them more credit than I did throughout the tournament. But after they tied, Cape Verde in that first game, you have to start asking questions, and things like that. So. But what they're doing right now is, I think they've won 40 matches in a row, so they're on a roll right now, and they'll be favorites for the next one, I'm sure.
Garrett, to you, any thoughts on the action from the World Cup?
I mean, Spain played 8 games, so 720 plus minutes before you even get into extra time and everything, and they gave up 1 goal the entire tournament.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, you saw Argentina. I mean, Messi was just engulfed by Spain players. They couldn't get anything off. Even when they did get the ball, they would just turn it over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the most pressure I've ever seen a team put on a soccer field. I mean, I don't watch that much soccer, but, I mean, Argentina couldn't do anything.
The goalie was unbelievable, stood on his head.
It was like the equivalent. I mean, it looked like, I know that's how soccer works, and it was 0-0, but it felt like Spain was winning the game like 10-0. They just hadn't scored.
Convert, yeah.
And credit to the Argentina goalie, he was tremendous. At the end of regular time, that was a great save on that
free kick
that they had, and but Spain was obviously the better team, and that midfielder that's on Spain, they were talking about after the game, they think he's a top. If he's like, you have your all-time 11 players, he's on there.
Yeah, so. Roger, yeah.
Caleb, what about you? As we sent it to the production room, what was your main takeaway from the action on Sunday?
Honestly, as a non-soccer fan, I enjoyed watching the game. My girlfriend's a huge Argentina and Messi fan, so I was kind of rooting for them. I don't know the bad blood or the history everybody has with Argentina, but I know a lot of people didn't want them to win. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, they play in the MLS and it's in the US, so FIFA's wanting them to get that." I don't know anything about the intricate workings of FIFA and the corruption. I do know FIFA. A lot of people don't like FIFA, but
yeah,
I thought the game was relatively entertaining. I was at work, so I kind of had one eye on it the whole time. But there's a lot of Spain fans at work that were getting really hyped up at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable game to watch. I thought them taking that goal away from Spain near kind of, I don't know if it was the beginning of extra time or the end of regulation.
That was a bad call too.
That was
Argentina is what they call them.
Yeah,
for the VAR.
Yeah, that was a little odd to me. But
there were 10 disallowed goals, I think, that went Argentina's way in the tournament. So they were trying to get Messi his second cup.
You think if they would have played a harder schedule, they would have got knocked out earlier?
I mean, they were trailing in so many games. They left it late so often, and you thought it was just, it was going to be their time again. And you can't even say Spain, oh, I wish they had gotten to play France, and they played France, who we thought was the best team, and they beat them. So, I mean, Spain had a much more difficult road to the final than Argentina did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you think if Argentina had Spain's knockout round opponents, they would have made it.
Maybe. I mean, I mean, I would say that in Argentina beat England. And England did some bad things in that semifinal, but yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think Argentina would have been their group was the easiest and everything. So it was definitely catered towards Argentina and Messi.
Did you guys, this is off topic, did you guys see the Saudi Arabia League offering LeBron $900 million to go play?
I did not see that.
I did not see
Somebody
that.
offered, the Saudi Arabian League offered LeBron $900 million to go play.
Well, I saw that'd be a chunk of cash. I saw someone wager $98,000 on him to go to Miami on Poly Market earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what the ROI on that will be, but up against
we're up against. I was going to ask Garrett a question, but we're
okay. Well, we'll have to save it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But good stuff. We appreciate you listening along with us on this Monday edition of the Playbook. Josh Heupel set to walk up on the podium in Tampa, Florida for SEC Media Days. We'll swing it over to the Drive for the rest of the way on this Monday. Stick it right here on Fan Run Radio.
Can't get enough Fan Run Radio? Download the free Fan Run app and take the best Tennessee sports conversations with you wherever you go. Fan Run Radio, where Big Orange Country comes to talk sports. Start your morning off with your daily dose of talk sports with John Reed and Cody McClure from 8 to 11. Then it's Tony Basilio from 11 to 1. The Playbook with William Pattison from 1 to 3. And The Drive from 3 to 6. It's 10 hours of hard-hitting local sports radio every day, right here on the flagship station for Tennessee fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Are you ready to show off that confident, radiant smile you've always dreamed of? Well, here at Knoxville Smiles, we're ready to turn your dream into a reality. At Knoxville Smiles, we're more than just a dental practice. We're your partners in achieving optimum oral health. From routine cleanings and checkups to advanced cosmetics and restorative procedures, we offer a wide range of services in an environment that makes every visit a positive and comfortable experience. At Knoxville Smiles, it's about more than just treatments.